Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, papers.
Honorable Walter Teno, Chair Budget.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to table this 19 February 2019, the Budget and Appropriation Committee report on governance memorandum in respect to the Nandi County Bill 2018. I beg to table.
I acknowledge the tabling of the Governor's Memorandum on the County of Nandi Finance Bill 2018 by the County Budget and Appropriation Committee as led by Honorable Walter Teno, the Chair. Honorable members, the same will therefore come for debate and consideration in tomorrow's morning session before the Committee of the Whole House.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kipkirui Chepkwony.
Honorable Speaker, I want to seek the viability of the tabling of the Governor's Memorandum, which was raised in last session in view of a direction that any business that was pending equivalent to a motion for that case in the previous session cannot be continued as per se in the current session, and also assuming that the Honorable His Excellency the Governor would have given a speech during the opening of this session, as would have been expected. What would have been the scenario now that we have that?
Honorable Chepkwony, I'm sure you being an experienced member of this House, in fact, importantly, being an inaugural member of this House, you are properly appraised to the fact that there's a difference between a motion and a memorandum. That one doesn't escape your attention. And your concern you are raising is about motions. My communication was on motions, that how motions can lapse. But for memos and such, in fact, that's why it comes under the papers. That one I think you don't have a problem with. However, the second bit that you've mentioned about governor's speech, I think His Excellency the Governor has communicated that next week on Tuesday, he sought that he be given a week, because if you look at the practice, most of the assemblies, they did their opening of address by the governor mostly in the first week, which was last week. Some are still doing this week. So from the Nandi County, I think Tuesday next week is when he will be giving his address. I'm only concerned that whether it has an implication on the memo, that may be a different case, because the memorandum was more or less like a follow-up. Remember that we have previously passed the finance bill last year, just before we headed for recess on December 6th. However, as the law envisages, in case of any concern, in case of any disagreement from the person assenting the bill, in this case being His Excellency, then the same can come back to the House as a memorandum, which happened. When the same was tabled here in January during our special session, the agreement was that we consider it as soon as we resume our full sessions. So what the Budget and Appropriation Committee has purely done has to consider, have their report on the same, they are within the timeline, and the Committee of the Whole House will have the obligation to consider. That's why it's coming up for tomorrow debate. So I look forward to your engagement on the same. So I hope you have answered your concern. Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm guided.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 5, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 6, notice of motion.
Honorable Mengech.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to give a notice of motion on establishment of county roads unit.
Honorable Komen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to give a notice of motion on decentralization of fuel supply. Thank you.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Honorable Mengech.
As I seek this statement, I'd request the clerk to circulate the notices of motion. Honorable Speaker,
The notice of motion or the statement? Request for the statement itself.
no notices of motion.
Okay. Proceed, Honorable Mengech.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Through the chair, Administration and Public Service, pass one to Standing Order 45-1C. I wish to seek the following. That the department furnishes this house with a list of disaster-prone areas within the county for the past 5 years. Number two, a report on fire disasters that have occurred within the county in the past 1 year. And lastly, remedies the county has undertaken to avert such disasters, if any. Thank you.
Honorable Mengech, I noted in your statement, I wish you would have given a timeline, because if you look at your query you are seeking, it has a need for urgency, considering the rains are about to ensue. That is one week or so. And one of the biggest complaints has been that we as a county system only are reactive to problems. We wait for disasters to visit upon us, then we react. So I think your statement here then is in order, but I will therefore seek that the chair of the relevant committee, Administration and Public Service, I invoke the need for this to be furnished before the House by next Tuesday.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
So next Tuesday, Chairperson and Administration and Public Service, remember by Tuesday we expect timely response. Thank you so much. Next order.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Chepkwony.
Honorable Chair, being the Vice Chair to that committee, Chair, asking us to submit that report by Tuesday next week, Honorable Speaker, might be too much to ask for us, and I will be seeking just an extension to Thursday. We will be properly involved. Because Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, we wouldn't want to bring a substandard report. Just answering the questions that has been sought by Honorable Mengech is easy, but substantively answering the questions, especially on the issue of remedies, Honorable Speaker, I would request that the indulgence of the House as the Vice Chair to that committee, that Thursday is proper for us.
Honorable Chepkwony, I may identify with your concern, but if you look at the questions raised, one, most of them are or can be answered well by the department. Yourselves as a committee, I'm sure you've handled this before. This is not the first time we have disaster. We had mudslides. Ironically, you come from Tindred sub-county, which is always the most hit during rainy season. The rainy season are here with us. It can't wait. I'm sure you would understand the urgency, because you would assume the assembly would want to give proposals and solutions. How about if we delay on Thursday? The same rains ensue on Thursday. Whatever you'll be bringing to the floor of this House then will be rendered nugatory, or it may be in vain, because now we can't do anything until the disaster has happened. So I understand it is a good thing that you want to furnish this House with substantive, but I'm just trying to underscore the urgency. We are going against the vagaries of nature. I don't think we have control and power over it. So I wouldn't allow you to come back. I've just directed the same. Take that, you're the Vice Chair. I'm sure the members are here. Honorable Elphas Cheriot being the chair, he's a very hardworking member, and I always know his passion. I don't doubt. The only thing, I need to get the committee to come in hard to the Department of Administration and devolve units. They are the one to furnish you. The committee by Monday, when the House Business Committee is sitting, should have something. Honorable Chepkwony, that is matter settled. I hope you are raising on a different matter.
Honorable Speaker, you've indicated, I just want to clarify that the entire committee is hardworking. It's not only the chair. It is the entire committee that is hardworking, Honorable Chair. In Honorable Speaker, in your sentiment that we are worried for the rains, I am the rainmaker. And we have decided that, Honorable Speaker, the rains are coming in the next 3 weeks, so thou shall not be worried. In 3 weeks, count it down.
Honorable Chepkwony, if you are a rainmaker as you claim, I think you wouldn't have part of tin rate being food insufficient. So I think that one is rendered irrelevant. Maybe you're just chest thumping. And above all, you wouldn't call yourself leader of marginalized in the first instance. Next order.
Order number 8, motion.
Honorable Kebene.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to move a motion that this House adopts the calendar of the County Assembly from February 2019 to February 2020. And the calendar actually runs this way, where we have, this is that session, part 1, where it commences from 13th February, that is last Tuesday, to 18th April 2019. That is, we shall be having, that is that section, part 2, Tuesday 7th May 2019 to Thursday 4th July 2019, where we shall be having also on Tuesday afternoon session, Wednesday morning and afternoon, Thursday afternoon. We come to part 3, third session, part 3, where we have Tuesday, it runs from Tuesday 20th August 2019 to Thursday 12th September 2019, whereby we shall be having on Tuesday afternoon session, Wednesday morning and afternoon, Thursday afternoon alone. The part, that is the third session, part 4, where it runs from 24th September 2019 to Thursday 5th September. That session, part 1, short recess, it will run from Tuesday 19th April 2019 to May 6th May 2019. We have part 2, where we have also short recess. It will run from Friday 5th July to 20th, to 19th July 2019. Part 3, where we have the short recess. It commences from 13th September 2019 to 23rd September 2019. Long recess, which starts from 6th December to February 2020. That's our calendar for the third session, and I wish to beg Honorable Magdalene Rono to second. Thank you.
Honorable members, that the motion that this House adopts the calendar of the County Assembly from February 2019 to February 2020 is open for debate. Honorable Bwambok.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So I just rise to support this calendar because, Honorable Speaker, you know, when something is prepared early, then it gives also the program of our honorable members so that they can plan in time. And I hope this will really go a long way in ensuring that most of our activities are planned, also touching to the plenary department. So I too support this, and I thank also our whip for just bringing in time this calendar, which will really assist a great. So I too support, Honorable Speaker, that this is a very good plan for our calendar of 2019 to 2020. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Judging by the mood of the House, I don't think there's a contention. I therefore seek to put a question that this House adopts the calendar of the Assembly from February 2019 to February 2020. Will as many as of a similar opinion say aye?
Aye.
Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, motion.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That notwithstanding, so my motion is on limitation of time on motions, including special motions. That notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 96 Part 4, each speech in a debate on any motion, including a special motion, shall be limited in the following manner. A maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover and 10 minutes for each other member speaking, except the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, and that 10 minutes before the expiry of time, the mover shall be called upon to reply, and that priority in speaking be accorded to leader of majority party, the leader of minority party, the chairperson of the relevant committee, in that order. I ask Honorable Mengage to second.
Honorable members, that the motion on limitation of time on motions, including special motion by the majority leader, is open for discussion. Honorable Hillary.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion. In the past, I think we have had issues of one or two members who would want to dominate the whole house until we are all tired. Now this is a good prerequisite. It's a good medicine for such kind of people who have many words. If I find myself in the same again, it will for sure correct me. I support this, Mr. Speaker. I would have even suggested that the mover, who is the leader of the majority, would have moved all those motions at once, 11 and 12, the 10th and the 11th one, and we adopt of them at once.
Thank you, Mr. Son. Honorable Hillary, we appreciate your excitedness, but just keep it in check. Let's approve one by one so that we can even quantify your level of excitement. Honorable Mengage.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I didn't know that Honorable Hillary would be that excited. I support this motion, and I would, being a member of the Procedures and Rules Committee, I'll be proposing that we further this by amending that section, Standing Order 96.4. Yeah, instead of bring a motion, maybe that should be the work of that committee to amend. As Honorable Hillary has said, I'm happy that the motion has been set to a maximum of 3 hours. That would be the business of the Speaker to make sure that this motion, once passed, will be implemented to the last second, so that our members do not dominate the debate or we extend beyond the 3 hours given. Thank you.
Honorable members, judging by the mood of the House, I seek to put a question on the motion on limitation of time on motion, including special motions. Will as many as of a similar opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Motion on limitation of time on reports of committees. That notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 96 Part 4, each speech in a debate on a report of a committee, including a report of an ad hoc committee or any other report submitted to the House, shall be limited as follows: a maximum of 60 minutes for the mover in moving and 30 minutes in replying, and a maximum of 10 minutes for any other member speaking, except the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, and the priority shall be accorded to the leader of majority party, the leader of minority party, in that order. I kindly ask Honorable Philip Chepkwony to second.
Honorable members, that the motion on limitation of time on reports of committees be hereby debated. Honorable Mengech.
Uh, I support this motion, but Honorable Speaker, 60 minutes for the mover is a century. Yeah, it's a very long time, 60 minutes. I know no member has ever taken the 60 minutes. No mover has ever taken 60 minutes. I would wish that we reduce that to half, 30 minutes. I would beg that we amend if the honorable mover of this motion would accept amendment so that we can set that to a maximum of 30 minutes.
Judging by the mood of the House, honorable members, I seek to put a question on the motion on limitation of time of reports. Will as many as of a similar opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Motion on limitation of time on bills sponsored by parties or committees. That notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 964, each speech in a debate on bill sponsored by a committee, the leader of majority party, and the leader of minority party shall be limited as follows. A maximum of 45 minutes for the mover in moving and 15 minutes in replying. A maximum of 30 minutes for the chairperson of the relevant committee. That is, if the bill is not sponsored by the relevant committee. And a maximum of 10 minutes for any other member speaking, except the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, if bill is not sponsored by 8 of them. And that priority in speaking shall be accorded to the leader of majority party, the leader of minority party, the chairperson of the relevant sectoral committee, in that order. I ask Honorable Swati to second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to second the motion which has been proposed by the leader of majority on limitation of the time on bills sponsored by the political parties. Mr. Speaker, I can see this session starting from now. We are now going to run this assembly according to the law. For that reason, I stand to second that motion.
That the House, that this motion on limitation of time on bills sponsored by the parties or committees be hereby debated. Although Honorable Swati, you are actually making an alarming statement. Are you in order in stating that the House has not been running its debates within the confines of the law?
Mr. Speaker, just clarification is, since we have started this assembly, from last session, we have never have such motions in the beginning of the session. So this is the beginning of this maybe new dispensation thing.
Honorable Swati, I'm sure you can take note that the members have come back more inspired than before, and the recess only gives members time to recharge. I don't know if you've attended a committee meeting. Your committee, in fact, is on the red, and I would want you to benchmark. Now that you are identifying the spirit now at the plenary, you'll be surprised at what is going on in the committees. In fact, that shows that you need to quickly appraise up with your committee members on Peak Park, because that is the spirit.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I know that, and that is why even on Thursday, I have put my request to the Committee of Liaison to make sure that the Committee of Public Investment and Accounts Committee, you give us more time and resources, because we have so many bills. So I'm aware, Mr. Speaker. That's why I have said this session, I can see the light by the end of the day.
I hope it will not be assumed that you're trying to solicit for support for facilitation and finances, but that is fair enough. Honorable Clara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I I rise to support fully the motion moved by Honorable Majority Leader, and by the many words that Honorable Swadi has seconded with, I support.
Honorable Terry.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for unconditionally giving me this opportunity to support this motion moved by our Honorable Majority Leader. I only would wish to inform Honorable Swadi that possibly they no longer have many motions after the communication from the chair. I support this motion.
Honorable Dorcas Kirwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also stand to support this motion brought by our Majority Leader on limitation of time on bills sponsored by the parties or committees. I fully support.
Honorable Tena.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also rise to support a motion brought by Honorable Majority Leader. And the way Honorable Hilary Serem had earlier indicated is that actually we have lump sum all this motion and we second once and for all and we move out. So I think it was good in predicting that we are on both sides of supporting this motion so that we may run according to the time indicated in this motion. So I support and I congratulate the Honorable Leader Majority for coming up with this motion. Thank you.
Honorable Philip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this time to contribute on this motion. Mr. Speaker, I want to oppose this motion on one thing, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a limitation on time on bills sponsored by the parties, Honorable Speaker. I know, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to matters party, Honorable Speaker, Leader of Majority need a lot of time to convince members, Honorable Speaker. So 15 minutes allocated for Leader of Majority, I think it's not enough, Honorable Speaker. I think we should give him around 45 minutes for him to convince the whole House and the members. Honorable Speaker, I stand to oppose this motion.
Honorable Philip, I'm sure it would only be puzzling that the mover of the motion, who is the Majority Leader, is content with 15 minutes. But in your generosity, you felt that you can award 30 more minutes, but that's your choice. Honorable Robert Kirwa.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipatia hii nafasi. Nataka nichukue nafasi hii kuunga mkono kwa sababu tukipisa saa itakuwa kazi yetu itakuwa mingi ambayo tutafanya kwa bunge. So naunga mkono.
Honorable members, judging by the mood, I seek to put a question in the motion on limitation in time on bills sponsored by parties or committees. Will as many as of a similar opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 12, adjournment.
The House stands adjourned until the next session.
Isabel.